Hey, what's up, everyone? My name is Kushway. Welcome to Handcuff Status Podcast. In today's episode, we will be discussing a wife's vow through incarceration, what it means, and various forms of injustice from our criminal justice system. We have an exclusive interview with Charda and Arsenio Butler. They are the owners of Butler Financial Services. Also, while Arsenio spent 13 years in prison, Charda stood right by his side. They will be sharing their experience and story with us. Let's get right into it. Please give us a brief description of yourselves before we get into the questions.
Okay, sure. I am Charda Butler, the wife of Arsenio Butler, the mother of two children. One is almost 3 months and one is 15 years old. And I am a multi entrepreneur as well.
Again, I'm Arsenio Butler. I recently came home for doing 13 years and 11 months in prison. I'm the co-founder of Butler Financial Service, our credit repair company, our tax service. We also have Butler Tree and Landscaping, which we started last year once I was released from prison. We selling cars, back-to-back auto sales. We got multiple companies that we running right now. So praise God.
That's a beautiful thing. Beautiful thing. Beautiful thing. All praises to the Most High.
That's it.
Charday, what is a wife's vow through incarceration mean to you?
I would say a wife's vow to incarceration means love, loyalty, support, and even endurance because it is very challenging. But I can say that I held on to the scripture weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning.
Blessings, blessings. And sometimes you got to find strength in God to pull through certain events, right?
That's absolutely right. You have to have faith and you have to believe, through the challenges of incarceration.
Absolutely. Uh, Arsenio, can you tell us why you served 13 years in prison?
My actually sentence was 30 years, 17 suspended, 13 to serve. My charges: 2 counts of armed robbery, 2 counts of kidnapping, convicted felon with a firearm, 3 counts of convicted felon with a firearm. I had possession of a CDS, a controlled dangerous substance, possession of crack cocaine, possession of methamphetamines. That's why I was sentenced to 30 years.
That's why you got 30 years, but 17 suspended and 13 served.
Right.
Do you think you had a fair trial?
Actually, I didn't have a fair trial because when I was going to court, my lawyer, she bagged out on me. We was ready, me and my wife was prepared to go to trial. And when I got down, she had already called my wife and told her that she don't think that I was gonna win. People was coming to court and all that. So it's the typical thing that go on with a lawyer once, they get majority of their money. They are just, they come with any kind of plea to get you out the way. They try to make you take any kind of plea. And I wasn't really going for it.
Yeah.
If I'm making sense, I took the time because I didn't want to risk getting 4 life sentences. So
Exactly.
I took the 13 years.
And that's how they get a lot of us. The ones that are supposed to be defending us make us feel like they're not even trying. So if they're not trying and we don't have a voice, we usually take whatever seems like it's the least or something that is not as much. But
Man, correct. That's the reason why I did it. I was feeling like, 13 years is a long time, but life is way longer. And they say you can have an appeal. If I would have went to trial and lost, I would have had a appeal, but sometimes it take 20 to 30 years for an appeal.
exactly.
So I took the time to try to make less stress for my wife because I knew she had already told me she wasn't gonna leave me. So I knew I had a strong backbone that's gonna go with me. So I took the time and I was ready to let's go. I went and did it, and I'm here now.
Thank God you're here. Take us back to the day of sentencing. What were your thoughts and emotion?
Well, I know that day, like, like it was yesterday. I got up, prepared for trial. I knew I had trial. Well, no, I didn't. I take that back. I didn't know I had trial. They called me for court. When they called me for court, I instantly called my wife. I was like, where are you? I'm about to go to court. She said, you don't got court today? I was like, yeah, I did. I do got court. I'm about to go to court. So I went down and stuff, and I dressed out for trial. I was waiting on trial, and it was me, the DA, my attorney, and the judge was in the chamber. The DA was talking. She was talking to my attorney, and she was like, "I'm not going under 20 years. He can take 30, 10 suspended, 20 to serve. I'm not going under 20 years." I told my lawyer, I was like, if she can't go under 20 years, we might as well strike it up. I was like, 20 years, I'll be sitting in prison for 20 years. I don't got no win if I take a plea. If I go to trial and get it, I can get it back. So she was like, she not gonna do it. I'm not gonna talk to her. And all my homeboys was like, I know you ain't gonna take 20 years. I was like, nah, I'm finna talk to the DA myself. So my lawyer was like, no, you can't talk to the DA. I walked over to where the DA was and asked her, ma'am, can I please speak with you? She was like, yeah, you can go ahead. I was like, ma'am, I was like, 20 years that's a long time. It's a long time. Can you please do something better for me? Please. And she was like, 15 is the lowest I go. I was like, ma'am, please do something better for me. She said 13 years. I said, I sign it right now. And I signed it. I signed for
There it is.
13 years. Okay.
But you had to speak up for yourself to even get that.
Yes, I did have to speak up for myself. I I wasn't taking
Wow.
20. I had to speak up for myself.
Wow. And you see, sometimes that's what it takes, is because you can't leave it in their hands sometimes, you know?
That's right.
You had to speak up for yourself. Sade, what personal sacrifices did you make to stand by your husband's side through all those years?
That's a good one. I guess I would say that kind of goes back to um, faith, believing, and I always say this: God is number one. Without Him, I would not have had the ability to stand by my husband for 13 mandatory years. So I would definitely say, God, I had to. I guess I grew closer to him. Does that make sense? For my
No, for sure.
personal and family, and also entrepreneurship to help the family survive. Or because of course, while my husband was incarcerated, there were some challenges with paying bills or even putting money on the phone or even sending him money for commissary. We went through some really hard times.
Yeah, and that's the victimization on both sides. Everybody gets hurt when.
And I guess I could say this too, as a personal sacrifice, living paycheck to paycheck. Because I mean, I had to do what I had to do, so I had to rob Peter to pay Paul. If that makes sense. So
No, it does. It makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense. What were the hardest moments for you, knowing she was out here holding it down, and still sticking by her husband's side?
I must say my toughest moment is when I got moved to one prison and to another prison. I was locked down, and
Mm.
my last year, my wife fell kind of short. She was stressed out mentally. She had some mental distress going on. She wasn't working. It wasn't nothing going. She didn't have nothing going. She stopped working. I mean, she got laid off from her job, and she wasn't working. I got moved up out the blue. They labeled me as a gang leader, so they send you to what they call maximum security lockdown. And the only thing I can think about was, man, I gotta make it happen. You know what I'm saying? I gotta make it happen. I gotta make it happen quick. I gotta do something to take care of my family. You know what I'm saying? Them was my hardest times because I had to do what I had to do to provide for my family while in maximum security. I mean, a phone was $5,000 for a cell phone, and
Oh,
I had
for
to have
sure.
a cell phone to communicate with my family because man, they was bringing us the wall phone. We was using the phone once a week on Monday,
Mhm.
once a week for 15 minutes on Monday. So
That's crazy.
a phone was $5,000. We hit rock bottom. We didn't have anything, so I had to do what I had to do to provide for my family, and we did just that. We provided. I provided for my family while I was incarcerated. My last year was the hardest time I ever had.
Bro, my hat goes off to you guys, man, because it's not easy. I'm telling you. And $5,000 for a phone, you could imagine what everything else costs, right?
Right.
Did you ever feel judged or unsupported by others for your decision to stay with the man that you love?
Of course, several times. I even had like, at times like friends, some family members to say, "Oh my God, you're just crazy to, stick beside a man that has that amount of time." Even the attorney, when she called me to tell me that he had just been sentenced, she said that you may as well just go on with your life. He's about to do a decade. So yeah, that's what I went through. Yeah.
The attorney
Yes.
is none of their business.
Yeah. So it was hard, and she was our attorney, so it made me feel. Um, it just made me feel bad.
That's
It put me in
crazy.
a very very bad place.
I could only imagine. I could only imagine. That is crazy. I'm sorry that you even had to go through that. That's when you need support the most too.
Yeah.
Arsenio, what did Sade's loyalty and love mean to you then during incarceration, hearing these things?
Hey man, I'm gonna be honest with you, bro. Her her loyalty mean a lot because I done seen the ups and the downs of a woman being with a man in prison. I done seen women stay with dudes 30 minutes. When that door locked, she was gone. You know, I don't know what God created her from, but she ain't from here because they don't make them like her at all.
Yeah,
You know,
special.
like they
Special.
your love of 1 in a million, that's 1 in a million. 13 and a half years, man, ain't nobody gonna do it. You looking at a person that did his time. I never missed a commissary. I never missed a visit. When I was able to get a visit, I made visit every visit. They know that they was gonna see me in visitation. You know what I'm saying? Um, anything I wanted, basically, I had it. Hey, I don't I I don't dwell on the past, and I don't like glorifying the wrongdoings, but I was a heavy marijuana smoker because you got to be a heavy marijuana smoker when you doing time, or you got to be a heavy cigarette smoker or something. And I had to have it. I didn't go without nothing. When I say I didn't go without nothing, man, this woman made sure I had food, clothes, and everything else that I wanted. You know what I'm saying? And man,
That's amazing, man.
you got to be appreciative for that. You know what I'm saying? Her loyalty means.
No, you do. I love hearing that, and I love seeing black couples stick together through the worst and pulling themselves out of it. And look at you guys now, man, entrepreneurs, and that's what it's all about. I love it, man. I love it.
Appreciate it.
I have to ask Sade this, like, how did you manage your own mental health and emotional well being during that time then?
Well, I prayed a lot during that time. Of course, I attended church. I surrounded myself around positive minded people, if that makes sense. People that love
Yes.
me, that would support me, and that would encourage me. So that's pretty much what I did to keep my mental um, the way it should be.
Yeah, yeah. That's what you need in those times. You need people around you that's gonna be positive and not adding extra, negativity, right?
That's true.
How did you grow, or not grow, but how did you change as a man while being behind bars?
Honestly, it was my last year, bro. Ain't no one perfect. You know what I'm saying? When I was in there, I was a terrible individual. Like, and you got to be that way. It's not that I wanted to be that way. I had to be that way. Like, we seen an officer that worked at the prison the other day. Me and my wife, we was going to Walmart, and we seen him, and he was like, "Man, I couldn't stand your ass." You know what I'm saying? Screaming language. And I told my wife, I was like, why on it? Because I had to do what I had to do. It's not that I was being ugly to them. It's what I had to do. I had to hustle to provide for my family. But the answer to your question, my last year, the last 12 months of my incarceration, I lost my father 10 months before I was on my way home.
My condolences, brother.
Appreciate it. And that was a slap in the face because I could have been home like what 2 years, 3 years. I could have made parole. And for me getting caught with drugs, getting caught with phones, getting caught with knives and stuff, I didn't make parole. God was dealing with me. God was dealing with me. I man, I lost my dad, and it was like, man, it's all your fault. I was to blame for this. So me and my wife had to pay for my father's funeral I from prison. I was in prison, and with the help of my wife, we had to bury my father. So that was one eye opener. You know what I'm saying? They start having the feds to step in, and a lot of stuff that you get caught with, giving you a federal charge. So that was another eye opener. I ain't want to catch no more time. I ain't want to stay there longer.
Yeah.
I was trying to get here to my beautiful lady. So I had to change the things that I was doing. I slowed all the way down, changed the way I was moving, and now I'm here. I can teach the youngins now. Like, it wasn't good what I was doing in prison. It wasn't good. I made it look good, doing all the having the cell phones and having drugs and having the illegal things in there. I it, it looked it good, but it wasn't good. I did that because I had to do that. You got
Hmm.
people in prison that still have a family that's that's struggling. Majority of the world now is on welfare, bro. You know what I'm saying? My wife ain't never
No, you're right.
my wife never qualified. They wouldn't even give us food stamps. They won't give us food stamps. You know what I'm saying? So I had to do what I had to do. Would I do it again? Would I change it? No, because I learned and I grew. You know what I'm saying? I want to teach the younger generation now that what I did was wrong. What I was out here doing, the steps that I was making, you don't want to make them steps. You don't want to leave your family for 13 years or longer. You don't want to do that. Yeah, so
No,
that's
and
that's why
and brother, like,
I'm the man I am today.
and brother, those are life changing events for anybody, and anybody losing their father, what I mean, could open your eyes. And I mean, you had to do what you had to do. It's hard to look at people and judge them, knowing that they were in the worst situation of their life and have a family to take care of. It's almost impossible to judge them, you know what I mean?
Correct.
So yeah, you did what you had to do, and you're here now, and you're here with your wife, and you're able to move forward, and that's all that really matters, right?
That's right.
So
That's right, my brother.
as I said before, my condolences. It's hard, to lose a loved one, but I'm happy that you were able to pull through.
And it's hard. It's something that it's something that I deal with on a daily because my baby came on my father's birthday. We have a 3 month old. She came on my father's birthday, February the 28th, and when that day happened, it was I cried tears of joy because I knew my father was at. Allah gave me the peace that my father was at peace. You know what I'm saying? He didn't hurt. He didn't hurt. He didn't suffer. He had peace. and I'm at peace now. You know what I'm saying? And we living, we moving forward.
That's what it's all about, brother.
Yes.
That's what it's all about. All praises, you know? This question is gauged for the both of you guys. What were some of the biggest challenges you faced as a couple while you were while you were incarcerated?
Just to be honest, sex, because they had the Mississippi Department of Corrections. They removed conjugal visits right. I think right before Arsenio actually got sentenced, they actually took it out of the prison. So that was very hard. That was very
Hold on,
challenging.
hold on. They removed conjugal visits?
Yes.
Yes, a year before. I'm
Was it
like months
okay?
before I took my time.
Yeah.
Months when I got my first visit at the facility that I went to. That they last visit was like a week before I came, and
Yeah.
they last conjugal visit, and I was like, oh man.
Yeah.
So
It was hard.
How
basically,
does how do people spend time with their children and their families?
man, honestly, man,
Is there no rehabilitation in Mississippi? They don't believe in rehabilitation there?
that's a good question. Mississippi and Louisiana, Mississippi, Louisiana, Alabama, the South. Period. We we up under what you call under the podium laws. So the under the podium laws is the old laws, the 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 racist laws. You know what I'm
Jim Crow?
saying? Jim Crow, bro. The Jim Crow laws.
Oh,
Still, still up
smokes.
under the old laws. They just stopped mandatory time like 3 years ago, where we were still doing 85%. Now we up under the 50% law, but we were still doing 85%. And 85%, that's almost all your time. You gotta flatten that sentence out. I went through so much in that system, like visitation. They took my visit for like
Oh,
7 years.
yes. Yes.
They took my visitation
Yeah.
like
7 years?
7 years. We had to go through we had to go through a superintendent one time, right before I came home, a couple months before I came home.
Yeah.
He approved me to get a visit. And the only reason he approved my visit was because he wanted her to talk to me about getting contraband into his prison facility, to tell me to stop getting contraband into his prison facility. If it wasn't for me getting contraband into his prison facility, he wouldn't have let my wife came and visit me. And I wouldn't have been I wouldn't have still until I came home. It probably would have been like 8 years that I hadn't seen her.
Yeah. So I think that was very challenging.
Wow.
That was a very, very hard challenge. To have no visit in 7 years. That was very hard. So we had to rely on, and I think they got that in the video visitation. I think that was like the last 2 years or so, or a
No,
year.
no, that was 9 months.
Oh
That
yeah,
was
okay.
9 months. We ain't start getting video visits until we made it to Walnut Grove, and they
Oh
had
yeah,
to
that's
wait
true.
to put it in.
That's
So
true. Yeah.
I was relying on the phone.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. I was relying on Messenger. If I ain't have an iPhone, I was relying on Messenger. If I had an iPhone, I'm a FaceTime. We slept on the phone together. We did everything together. Slept on the phone. I cooked me a stir fry, some rice and fish, and I'd be on the phone with my wife. We spent time. Majority of my time, 90% of my time, I did it on the phone with my wife.
Yeah.
We slept on the phone together. We ate together. She was going to get her hair done. I'm going to be on the phone.
Yeah.
We going to be on the phone with each other. And I made it. All praise to God. Inshallah, man, I made it out of there. I made it out of there with having a phone. 12 and a half years, 13 years of my time, I had a cell phone.
Yeah.
Almost all the time. They was coming to get them quick as they can get them. I was trying to get another one. I was buying another one. I'm calling her, baby, please. I know I just bought this. I need another one. ASAP.
And but hey, man, that phone is basically the key to keeping the glue. It was keeping you guys. Come on, you got to sleep with her still. I mean, you weren't sleeping with her like I'm sure you guys would want to like be close to each other, but
Right.
you still got to hear her snoring if she was snoring,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
she could hear you, or
Yeah.
she could hear you.
She hear it come and tell them,
She can hear you.
they knock on the door, hey, Butler, Ramadan, early in the morning.
Yeah.
Babe, I'll call you when I get back in.
Yeah.
You go ahead and go to sleep. I'll call you when I get back in from praying.
Yeah.
You know, they gonna let me out at night. I used to always keep updated on what's going on in the prison, and you know, Mississippi, in 2019, 2020, December 30th, 2020, we had a big ride. We had a big ride here in Mississippi where a couple guys lost their lives in the prison system, and I was in the mix of it. I used to always tell my wife, like, man, I pray I pray I don't get stabbed. I pray I don't, you know.
The cops killed them, or were they killed by other inmates in the riot?
The riot was it was between inmates. It was between
Okay.
inmates, and uh it was at like 5 or 6 major prisons in the state, and the one that I was at is where it started at. So when you come out for shower, you gotta come out. You gotta come out. You know how you gotta come out. You gotta come out with your shoes strapped. You gotta have your shoes on in the shower. You gotta have a knife on you. And man, when I tell you, it was the worst experience I ever experienced in prison, because I done been in the I hadn't been in the bangings and in the riots and stuff, but not to that point where 8 or 9 individuals got killed. You see what I'm saying?
That's crazy. Yeah,
People was losing their life left and right. They was getting stabbed up. So man, that was one of the scariest moments I ever encountered, because you know, as a man, you tough. You know, you ain't gonna let nobody know that you fear. You dig what I'm
of
saying?
course,
But I did
of course.
fear. There was a time that you don't know if you can come out of this cell and die. So
Yeah,
when that was going on, I stayed on the phone with my wife, and we always prayed that we prayed to the Most High for safety,
Yeah.
to keep me whole.
Yeah.
Let me make it out whole.
Yeah.
And alhamdulillah, I made it out whole. You know what I'm saying? I made it out whole, but it's a lot. We endured a lot there.
Yeah.
man. It sounds like hell on earth, brother. Because at any moment,
300
if
Spartan,
they're killing people like that,
yeah.
That's true.
It's like 300 Spartan warriors type stuff, bro. Like, for real, for real.
so then I gotta ask you this, Arsenio. How are you adjusting to freedom and rebuilding now that you're out?
Man, that's a good question, man. That's a good question. Um, I'm coping with it. I'm coming along good. It's not easy, you know. It's not easy at all. The challenges, the street stuff is there waiting on me. You know what I'm saying? With open arms. God, bro. My kids, my wife. Every time I just Sunday in church, I gave a testimony, and I explained this same situation, man. Uh, the streets, it's easy for me to get sucked back into it, but every time I be like, man, F this, man. I'm finna go out. I'm finna go back out. I'm finna go and get me some money. I need the fast money. I need it. My wife, you said
Hmm.
what? You finna go and do what? Nah, you ain't finna do that. You, you can go on. You don't need to come back here. You know what I'm saying? Not in a bad way that I don't need to come back here. It's a wife love for her husband.
Yeah.
If I'm making sense. My wife
No, for
love me,
sure.
so she don't want me back out there. She, is she know what I'm capable of doing. I'm capable of making it happen. Just like the entrepreneurship with the legal money, I know how to entrepreneur with the illegal hustle, but that's not what I want. I'm trying to elevate. I done elevated in life. I done left it alone. I'm not trying to go backwards. I'm trying to move forward. So I'm adapting. I'm adapting well. The things that I do now, I really enjoy it. Like mentoring the youth. You know what I'm saying?
Good.
I love
Yeah.
to give the youth great advice. I love pouring into
Yeah.
the youth. You know what I'm saying? I always say that I'm gonna pour into the youth and the most high gonna pour into me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I never get my
Yep.
blessings from man. I get my blessings from Allah. You know what I'm saying? So,
All right.
I'm adapting well, bro. And I,
Yeah.
I, I like it. I like the challenges. I like, in the Bible it said, God give his toughest battles to his strongest soldiers.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm one of his strongest soldiers. He gave me the battle. And I like it. I want to change the world.
Most definitely, brother. Most definitely. And I would like to say you have to understand that we come from a people that were put through the worst situations known to mankind.
Right.
And
Right.
for you to just be an amazing individual and given sticks to carry on work that you need real tools to carry on, it's almost impossible, brother. So for us to even make it this far, for you to even survive what you survived, a lot of us don't even survive it. We go through it and we don't even survive it. And when I say survive it, I don't necessarily mean, you were one of the 8 that died. God forbid. That's not what I mean. I
Correct.
mean survive it mentally to still
Follow
be
you.
able to keep this,
I follow you.
still be able to keep this, and still be able to want to give back and look at the youth and say, hey, this is the future. I didn't have this. Let me try and give it to them.
That's correct.
Yes.
That's the
Correct, bro.
greatest thing that you could do, brother. The greatest thing that you can do is to teach these guys, because you have to take it in, brother. You may not wanna be looked at a certain way, but they look at you a certain way because you've done things and you've been through things.
Correct.
So because of that, you have to own it
That's correct.
and lead with it in a positive direction. You know what I
Correct.
mean?
Correct. Yeah, I follow you, brother.
Yeah, you're a leader out there, brother. You're a leader now.
That's true.
That's right.
That's all that's all it is. And I have to ask Charday this because after hearing you say that, it's like, what was your biggest fear, Charday, when he was in jail? What was your biggest fear?
Well, I just gotta be honest and I gotta be truthful. Um, my biggest fear while he was incarcerated was, maybe losing him. I didn't want, and I wouldn't just say just physical. That's mentally as well because he had to endure so much there and go through so much. So that was my biggest fear, losing, my husband to incarceration.
Yeah, exactly. Losing the man that you knew before he went in.
Exactly.
What do you want the world to understand about incarceration and the families it impacts?
Man, that's a good one. That's a good one. That's a good one. I want I want the world to understand this. Malcolm, Martin Luther King, Medgar Evers, they died for civil rights. They died for civil rights. With that being said, incarceration is slavery. It is slavery. Them brothers, some of them were beaten. Some of them lost their life, lost their very own lives to fight for, for us to be free from slavery. And here it is, us make we people making the wrong choices with putting ourselves into slavery.
Yeah, that's true.
We have to understand we got to do what we got to do to feed our family. But the nonsense, the senseless killing, the
Yes.
senseless raping,
Yes.
the senseless stuff is not it it it, it gotta stop, bro. It's not it, bro. Because when we leave, when we leave, when we, you know, when we taken from people who trying to feed their families and and stuff, people work hard for it. They trying to feed their family the same way that I'm trying to feed my family. That and we are going use a weapon and put fear in them and take it from them. So man, I want the world to understand that, man, we gotta have unity. We gotta have more unity. We gotta have more communication. Communication
Yes.
is the key.
Communication.
Communication is
Yes.
the key to everything. We gotta communicate. Why going going take from a person who trying to make your neighborhood a better place when you can communicate with them and tell him your ideal of what you have going on? He gonna pour into you
Hmm.
instead of trying to go at it the negative way. You know what I'm saying? The world need to understand we better together. We stronger together.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
you know what I'm saying? Without
Yes, brother.
without respect, communication, the world is nothing. It's nothing. You know, that's why the things that was going on with the police brutality for so long is because we couldn't stand together. It's
We
not
couldn't communicate.
we gotta communicate with it. It's not about
Mhm.
whites, it's not blacks. We have to communicate, bro. We have to
Mhm.
communicate. And when I mean by Malcolm X and Medgar Evers and Martin Luther King, they died, but you had some white brothers and sisters that died also. The the penal system slavery is different from the slavery that we grew up in. It was only whites and blacks, but you got to take it. The penal system slavery, they don't care what color you is, white, black, Mexican, Chinese. They got all the brothers this they got all brothers incarcerated. So I'm not just talking about blacks. I'm speaking for all brothers and sisters that's incarcerated. You know what I'm saying? We have to communicate with one another. And I really appreciate you, brother, for tapping in with my wife and giving us a platform to be able to speak on. You know what I'm saying? Uh we we really appreciate you and I want you to know that also.
Thank you, brother. And we appreciate you guys for even having the courage to tell your story and share your experiences, because just like what you said just now, brother, it's all about communication. And if we're not communicating the disgusting behavior that the prison system is keeping up, nobody's gonna know, because it falls on deaf ears, right? And the media is supposed to be doing all of this, but they could care less about what's happening
Man,
inside the prison system, unless you're a celebrity
yeah.
or something like
And
that, right?
and
So
they not even
we definitely.
doing it with celebrities. I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. They not even doing it with celebrities because I'm gonna take you back to what I was just speaking on in 2020. The ride, Jay-Z and Yo Gotti, they got attorneys that come to Mississippi State to see the corruption that was going on in the MDOC, in the prison system, in the Mississippi Department of Correction prison system. And man, they covered it up so good. Jay-Z and them bagged away from the lawsuits and everything. They bagged away from the lawsuits. They didn't push forward with it. They stepped down from it. And I ended up getting
Wow.
sent back to the same prison that the rides were at. And guess what? It was still inhumane for me to be there. I used to call my wife every day and tell her, baby, the water is brown. The water looked like mud. The
Oh my.
uh food trays got bugs in it. You got rats running, big rats, mice running around. running around on the bars, getting into my commissary that she bought. So it was inhumane, and they stepped away from it. They stepped away from the lawsuits and stuff, and it's still going on. We got people got family members that's still there going through the same.
That's still there.
That's
Yeah,
still there and going through it. So man, I don't want to see no one else go through it.
they gotta shut that whole place down, man.
Yeah, yeah.
They gotta shut that whole place down, and they get so much money. These privatized
Prison.
owners, yeah, like they. It should be illegal to even have a privatized prison. It
That's
should
right.
be illegal. Prison should be illegal. Period.
That's right.
Because yeah, it doesn't even make sense. It's like it's like it's it's torture. It's torture. That's what it is.
That's right.
It's torture.
That's right. Most
You
definitely.
know what I mean? And
Most definitely.
like we don't even treat our animals like how they treat people in prison. So you would get in trouble if they found out you were treating your animals like how they treat people in prison.
That's right.
Like they would literally come to your house for you. You know
Yeah.
that brother. I'm sorry that you had to even experience that, but if you guys got Jim Crow laws over there still, it might be a good idea to get out of that state. I'm just saying.
Yeah, we working towards that. We working towards that. I had a couple talks with my wife about that. We working towards getting away from here. We made a goal that we's gonna get
Yeah.
us a bigger house, and we just gonna move. We don't know where yet, but we gonna get away from here.
Well, just do your research and pick somewhere that you both love, of course, right?
Okay.
Charday, I have one more question for you. How did this experience shape your identity and strengthen you as a woman?
Actually, this experience helped me grow into my identity. It helped me to learn more about Sade, about me, strength. I didn't know that I was such a woman of strength. So I have to say that. So I guess it helped me to understand that faith, that I am a woman of faith. I am a believer of the Most High. So it helped me to, I don't know, I guess I want to say that it helped me to be strong, if that makes sense, during this challenge.
Yeah, it does. No, it does. Sometimes you have to go through things to tap into who you really are, right? And pull the strength out that you didn't even know that you had.
Yeah, because I didn't know that
It
I
makes
had,
perfect sense.
right, and I didn't know that not to cut you off, but I didn't know that I had that much strength to endure such a dark moment.
For sure, for sure. Um, I have one more question actually for the both of you guys. For the both of you guys, uh, what advice would you give other couples facing long-term separation due to incarceration?
I would say to have faith, to believe, to trust, and know that even during a long term sentence, it is not over. And even for those that are facing life sentences, know that God can overturn any and every situation, even during a challenge, even during a dark moment. So I would have to say this: stay encouraged, be connected to positive people like myself that will not judge you, because I am a non-judgmental person, because I have been there. Does that make sense? I've been through the fire. So know that, it may feel like you're in the fire, like the three Hebrew boys, but know that God will step in and intervene.
My advice to other couples,
Mhm.
man. First and foremost, God first.
God first. Mhm.
It can't be done without God.
Okay. Mhm.
Um, to my fellas, respect. You got to respect. If you don't, you got to respect. You got to respect, bro. You got to respect your significant other. Again, communication.
Yes.
Communication is a must.
It is.
Uh, and you also trust.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Uh,
Yes. Trust is very important.
Yes.
without trust, communication, and respect, you don't have no relationship. You're not gonna be able to make
Yeah.
it. You gotta have patience. You gotta have patience also. You gotta have patience. Don't don't always snap out if something not going your way. I had to learn it myself. I always be in a rush. You got to have patience, man. And like I said, God, you got to keep God first, man, because without God, you going for destruction, man. Like uh
It's true.
stay prayed up.
They got to.
You got to stay prayed up, man. You get them prayers.
It's
They
true.
say prayers goes up, blessings come down. You know what I'm saying? You got to them prayers work, man. It was plenty of time. That's why I never been stabbed and I never been stabbed. Uh inshallah. Alhamdulillah. I never been stabbed. I never been beat up. I was never beaten or none of that in there. God kept me in one piece.
The Most High
And I,
kept you.
and how I made it with that prayers, the power of prayer. You know what I'm saying? Uh,
Yeah.
no matter what your religion are, Christianity, Hebrew, um, Muslim, no matter what your religion are, them prayers work. Your prayers work.
Yeah. No, I believe that, man. I believe that. I could testify for sure.
Yes.
That's beautiful. I want to thank you guys for coming out. This was an amazing, amazing convo. I'm so happy that you guys are willing your selves and pulling all your resources and just getting it done, man. Like it's a beautiful, beautiful thing.
Appreciate you, bro.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Appreciate you.
We would like to thank Charda and Arsenio Butler for sharing their story with us today. For all those incarcerated, remember freedom is a must. Free all the lifers. Shout out Private Spaceship. Thank you all for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and follow at Handcuff Status Inc. on all major platforms. If you have any questions or suggestions, send them to us. And never forget our mission, breaking the chains of injustice. Thank you.